Well, hello there, community. I am Jason Rahm, and you are on one of our special editions of DevCentral Connects. And this is our Build It Live series where we are in episode 2 of that. Oh, wow. I just had like one of those little teenage boy voice cracks there. Just turned 49 a couple weeks ago. So, I guess I've been in puberty about 40 or like 38 years or something like that. But anyway, welcome. And we are going to do some exciting things today. And I'll bring Aubrey on here in a minute. We'll catch up on what we did last episode for those who missed that. And then we'll proceed on to phase 2, which is we're going to look at building out an application and what that looks like in Kubernetes infrastructure running on our custom edges that we deployed last time. So before we get to that, though, I want to just highlight next Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, Michael Matson will be joining Boo on DevCentral Connects. So you want to make sure you tune in for that. And then this is Microservices March, which is exciting. And Nginx has an entire month worth of content coming at you with webinars and labs and whatnot. And so you want to be ready for that. And next Thursday, I will be leading a lab on that. I think it's 11 a.m. Pacific. I'll get the show built here pretty soon, but I think 11 a.m. Pacific is when I'm going to get out the door with that lab. And so everybody who's registered for Microservices March can do these labs, so you can do it along with me, or you can watch me do it and then come back and race against the clock and see if you can get through it faster with far more understanding than I'll achieve. But we'll have a good time. And the labs last year were fantastic. I'm sure the labs are going to be equally fantastic this year. And so let me bring on my partner in crime, Aubrey. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Fantastic. Yeah, I worked through a few technical challenges this morning with the camera having focus issues, swapped out a lens. It seems like it's a lot better now than it was earlier. So I have you to thank for that. Say, hey, why don't you swap out that lens? And so yeah. It's looking a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone out there uses Viltrox lenses, but they're finicky. Let's say. I love mine, but it's not for every day. That's something you want to bring in for a focus if you're into the DevRel thing, like as we are. So
yeah.
Ooh, I have to illuminate. There we go.
Oh, there you go. You're going to go brighter. Hey, maybe I need to be brighter. So we'll just both get a little brighter. So yeah. I do that because I have fancy light buttons programmed into my Stream Deck to where I can activate them up and down by 10%. So I'm learning new functionality in my Stream Deck journey. And so I'm excited about that. Maybe I'm a little bright now, but I'm just going to go back down a little bit. Nobody needs to see that much brightness on Jason's face. So
yeah, that's a must actually for what we do. I think I love my Stream Deck for that stuff. But,
yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's going to be an interesting show. We got a bunch done last time. Kind of set up our temporary tenant. But that was really about it. We got our CEs up, right? And now we're still we're going to be getting our own tenant soon. So we're going to have to copy stuff over. But, the free tier, just for anyone that isn't familiar, we're using the distributed cloud to put up a service. And that service is going to be kind of dry run. I think today we're going to have to focus on a managed Kubernetes portion of the distributed cloud, which they refer to also as physical K8s. For anyone who's familiar with the virtual K8 side of things, that's how I used to bring up services when I was working on that team. And it was really easy. You could just have Kubernetes running on the regional edges. So if you need a quick container to just kind of bring up a service quick to check it out, that was the easiest way to get it done. So the physical Kubernetes, or the managed Kubernetes as it may be, is the same thing, but instead of being on a regional edge of the distributed cloud, we're looking at the customer edge node of the distributed cloud. So that should be interesting. It'll be my first time, Jason, so I'm a little nervous.
All right, and really the great thing about going through this, right, is we especially you've done it before. I've never done it, and so that's going to be great for us because it some of the benefit of doing these shows is like we're on the customer journey ourselves, right? We're going to build out an application, and for those that have never done it before, we're going to experience that too. So as we hit things we might not understand, we can take notes and then come back the next time with answers to those things that we don't understand, and it makes us better, makes the community better. We all learn together. So that's great for us to do along the way.
Exactly.
Real quick before we get into what we're going to do today, I just wanted to add, we have what we built last time is we have our 2 sites. This is your site if we go to the site map here. Of course it did. Right as I'm doing hey, I want to do a little sneak peek. So let me take that off so I can put in some credentials here.
and in fact, it might be a good time to bring on our ace in the hole as well. That'd be, when you haven't done it before. I don't know if you guys out there are the same as me, but if I haven't done something before, I'd definitely like to bring in somebody that has done this thing before. So, leading up to this, I reached out to all the distributed cloud architects and said, hey guys, I'd love to have somebody on, as it would be the great Steve Iannetta said he would come on and come hang with us for the time being. So Steve, how are you? Uh-oh, you're muted in the app.
There we go.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm doing well. How you guys doing? I don't know about great, but maybe mediocre.
I'll take it. It's better than bad, eh?
So how's everybody doing?
Yeah, we're hanging in there, just trying to see if we can't stand some services up. One of the things that we were looking at is, as Jason mentioned, the customer journey, right? So what I did kind of going into this, and so one of the things that I think people don't realize is you have to have like some sort of special location for documentation. You have to know the secret password or something. You don't. It is available on a tool that everyone I think may have used once or twice, which is called Google. If you haven't seen it, this is Google. And you may see that I have actually Googled F5 distributed cloud managed K8s. So if you're looking to get up an app infrastructure and you have nothing, right? What are we doing here again to kind of repeat? We're not going to have servers behind these nodes. These nodes will be the networking device and the server, if you will, that will host our application. So going to do that, I found this and really the top 3 that kind of come up. One is a PDF for me. I didn't need that. The other one as a cloud tech doc is nice. I do want to take a sec on this. This is not the actual document that we're gonna follow. But this goes through and really describes kind of how the service is laid out. So if you don't know what is managed Kubernetes, why do you have to have managed Kubernetes? And for me, that really is an interesting name because Jason and I were talking earlier, Steve, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but it kind of sounds like, well, someone's going to take care of it for you. But I was saying to Jason, it's not really like that. It's more that you have to really interact with this API and not the Kubernetes directly. That is thus the managed, I believe. Is that, I think I'm on the right path with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, it's just like it's a managed Kubernetes platform, right? So we handle all the underlying Kubernetes things, and the customer just needs to bring their workload and run it, scale it, do basically what they're doing on any Kubernetes platform. But they don't have to. The only thing they have to do from a management standpoint of the underlying Kubernetes is click the upgrade button when they want to upgrade versions of Kubernetes.
Nice. That's a piece. That sounds like a piece of cake, right?
Yep. And the goal also is, like, if you think about it, a lot of customers are going to Azure, Google, for GKE, Azure for AKS, or AWS for EKS, right? Because they don't want to manage Kubernetes, they just want to manage their workload. Well, with our solution, we can run in all those places as well as on premise, and you're not managing it. We're managing the etcd, we're managing the Kubernetes. You're just managing your workload.
Awesome. Well, we do, the third one here, the non-PDF, right? Create and deploy manage K8s is what we're going to kind of work from. So again, just if you're out there and you want to follow along, we're going to provide a link as well after the show, but F5 distributed cloud managed K8s. That's it. If you need to Google it, that's what you want to Google. So
Hey, Aubrey, I have a bone to pick real quick. So you call it K8s, right? So it's, I've heard it Kates, K8S, and K8s. It's like I'm a K8S guy. You're a K8s. Steve, are you going to break the tie here? Are you going for a full, three-way tie?
No, I use Kate's.
Kate's, okay. Oh yeah, so now we're three-way. Yeah.
Well, so mine is actually more like an actual Peter Silva inspired Hawaiian. Like it'd be K-A''A, right? K8s. So it's not quite a. But yeah, so now you have logged back into the console, yeah, Jason?
I have, yeah.
Well, let's check out actually what we did last time, so we can catch Steve up too and see where we are in our journey here, and remind the community.
Okay, let me do a little screen swap here. Okay. And so what we built is you have an Intel NUC sitting near you in your house.
Yep.
And I have an Intel NUC that I moved to the room behind me, behind a closed door, because the fans on that thing get a little loud. So I moved it into another room, and I just have a long Ethernet cable to bring it back to my switch. But I have a JR DC site. You have an AK DC site, and you are connected. I looked. If we kind of go into your site here, you have a site and you're connected up to Toronto and New York City regional edges.
Yep.
And then if I come over to my site, I'm also connected to the Toronto site, but then my other one is Dallas. And so between our two customer edges, we have three exit points, egress and ingress, right?
Yep.
So that's good. And we didn't have to build any of that infrastructure, right? We stood up our customer edges, and it built it for us, which is kind of awesome, because we talked about that pain point of setting up connectivity, even in virtual connectivity. There's a lot of pain that one might suffer doing that kind of connectivity manually, even in a virtual world. But all of us, I think, dealt with service provider networks way back in the day, where we did have to turn up those circuits, those physical circuits, and wait for the techs to come out and install our local loops and all that. So to be able to just click a couple buttons and boom, you're done, and your infrastructure's handled for you. That's kind of fantastic.
I love that you said local loop. And for anyone watching, we did just drop a brand new podcast for Mobile World Congress entitled The Local Loop. It's I guess a supplement to DevCentral Connects for now. And we may or may not be building an RSS feed for it. So we'll see. But on that, Steve, have you ever had the opportunity to set up a whole full mesh IPsec tunnels between 1 million locations? Or hundreds of locations?
Not hundreds, but yeah, I've done a little bit of that. It's not easy. It's right, and the capabilities that we bring to bear on setting up those tunnels, it's all automated, right? So the auto provisioning. So, but yeah.
Wow. Hey, my mic should sound like it just changed. Yes.
Yes.
Yep, it did.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Boo. Got good people looking out for us.
Yep. Yeah, I did some secure tunneling for DoD, and on top of just the management of configs and all that, actually managing key material is a little bit more challenging, even with that. So yeah, not a pleasant day when it came time to do your key swaps and all that.
So we skipped all that essentially, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
all of it.
That's the beauty of it. And we have two sites that are going to act as really tiny data centers, even though they're edge sites, and we'll have a huge any cast IP infrastructure to bring traffic to these little sites, which I love. It's like, you have the best of both worlds. You have easy to manage and very agile and little, but you also have the heft to really make sure that the bad guys of the world can't get to you.
Sure.
So I love it. Love it.
All right. So you're gonna walk me through what are we doing here?
Well, yeah. So that's it. I mean, we're in the console and we got to go down to the AppStack site, right? So, and I'm gonna kind of follow along on my side there, and I just lost mine. Awesome. Hold on a second. I've got to get back to.
While you're logging in there, I can come over.
And
all right.
Yeah,
So
get yours going.
All right. So I go down to AppStack site. Where do I get kicked off?
Hang on a second. Yeah, you're going to need to create it. So go to Cloud and Edge sites, which you're in, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
And then go to Manage Site Management, and then AppStack sites should be in there. We're going to need to add.
Okay. No AppStack sites yet. Okay.
That's right. Hang on. I'm still trying to get back to my. So, yeah. Hang on a second.
So while you're doing that, I can talk about. I'm working on my certified Kubernetes administrator certificate right now, and I've actually had my test tomorrow, which I'm quite confident I will fail the first attempt. I did a killer SH yesterday, and that was quite humbling, and so I understand that one's a little harder than the actual test, so that's good. But I've been heavily in YAML. YAML is not my favorite. And I don't love it, but I'm noticing as I'm looking at this screen, there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure is going to end up at some kind of a YAML configuration under the hood that I don't have to write. So I see these labels, I'm like, oh yeah, I know where that's going.
Oh boy, still getting my password going there. And actually, anyone out there, I see there are people who are in the comments. Josh, how are you? Holy cow. Good to see you.
Josh.
And
yeah.
And if anyone's been through any of the Kubernetes, any of the Kubernetes tests, please let us know what your experiences were, because I got to tell you, I've been through it. Steve, did you end up taking that? I know we took a practice class together.
I took the killer SH and realized that I wasn't ready. So no, I've not taken the test yet, but I've done a lot of the back end study, and I just need to actually do it.
Yeah, my biggest learning yesterday in the killer SH wasn't necessarily all the stuff I didn't know, is that all of my training has been with my browsers and my terminals and all of that. And in killer SH, everything's bound in what seems like a Linux version from 1999 with the browser and terminal, and so moving. And I don't use Firefox; I use Chrome. And so the Firefox is the only browser you have, and the terminals are older, and the font size is small. And so it's like it felt like I was working in a totally foreign environment. On top of, so I need to practice a lot more in that environment so that I'm training like I'm testing, and that hasn't been the case. So yeah, kind of hung up on that. Sebastian, hello. How you doing, sir?
Interesting. I'm not able to get back into the tenant. That's fun. Let's go.
Okay. Well, we can
let's move forward on
drive
yours.
on my end.
Yeah, I'm sure I've got an issue with cookies or whatnot. But with that, in the advanced configuration, show advanced fields is one of those things that we always want to have enabled. So if that is something that you can get done there, I'm trying to just resize so I can see now.
Where do I do that? Show advanced fields.
Scroll up.
Right there.
Yeah, there's the advanced configuration. Yep. Okay. And then I have to get back to those docs. So from local K8's API access menu, you should be able to select enable site local K8's API access.
That down here.
And that is the enable.
Okay.
There you go. So enable.
And so what
and
does
then-
that do? What happened for me there?
So if again, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, that should just enable the CE or enable the access of this for your CEs.
Yes. So what we're doing there is we're exposing the Kubernetes APIs out of your CE.
Okay.
Or for both that are enabled. Even though we haven't enabled anything, this is kind of like the profiling for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that was, we selected that, and then click on the enable site local K8's API access field and select the K8's cluster created in the previous section. Oh, we didn't create a K8's cluster, so we've got to do that.
Okay.
Time to get back. So we've got to go to manage
So
K8.
cancel out of here.
Yeah. And so, but still in Cloud and Edge sites.
How do I get out of this window?
Just cancel and exit
Oh,
on the
there we
bottom
go.
left.
Okay, discard changes. There we go. All right.
Yep. So manage K8's
Right here?
and K8's clusters.
Yep.
And add one.
Okay.
Oh, hey, look at that. AK8s.
So add KA cluster. Okay. And this should be mine.
Yeah. Arcades. Okay. And so with that, let's see here. We do have to configure metadata. So in the metadata section, you do need to enter a name and optionally set labels. In the access section, actually, let me just move my windows around here too.
So here you at the access section, go ahead and click on the disable site local API access and enable it.
Enable it. Yeah.
So this is where we're actually exposing the Kubernetes APIs out, not on that last window. The last window was when you're actually selecting the Kubernetes cluster, right? So give it any domain you want, right? You can, it's just going to be your local domain of the cluster. Yep. Default port's fine, and and you want to go ahead and enable that as well.
Yep.
And then from a managed K8 standpoint, since we do own the underlying Kubernetes platform, we disable a couple of security features. One is cluster roles and cluster role bindings, and another is pod security policies. We don't want anyone with we just want an admin that has rights to go in and be able to make those changes, not just any user of the platform. So that's the only restrictions we do in managed K8s.
Okay. All right. So what is documentation wise, Aubrey? Are we
Can you go to the bottom, show advanced fields on the cluster wide applications, and then click on them? Yeah, click there. Add cluster wide applications and go to configure. We're not going to configure any. I just want to show, and then add item. And then you could see here, you could drop down that list, and we can integrate Argo CD into there. You can, have the Kubernetes dashboard, metric server, and Prometheus. So these are some things that you do at deployment that you can take advantage of for cluster-wide apps going forward. There will be more coming, but this is what we offer as of today.
And can you do that? Can you do that more? I mean, can you do that later?
No.
Or do you do that? You do it now?
Do it at deployment time.
Okay.
And I think right now the restriction is you can only do 2 right now. So although we have 4 there, you can only pick 2.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
Aubrey, what do you think? Do we want a dashboard? Let me real quick. I got a question here. What the agenda is for today?
Sure.
Thanks for joining us. Agenda today is we are building out an application in distributed cloud in the managed Kubernetes. In a managed Kubernetes cluster. So first episode, Aubrey and I deployed our customer edges into distributed cloud. So we have the customer edge sitting there, not carrying any workloads. In this episode, we are building a workload. And so that's what we're working towards. Thanks for the comment. Okay.
So with the docs, it says we're, on the security settings, but for this, I would think we'd want at a minimum a dashboard.
Okay.
May as well.
Yep. So there also is you can go ahead and apply that. I just want to let you know, Aubrey and Jason, there is an order of operations, right? So you have to deploy this first, then you deploy the app stack site, then you deploy the edge sites. So we're probably going to have, you guys already deployed your edge sites, so we're probably just going to have to deploy new ones.
Okay. It's not like that takes a long time. So
right. Yeah. And we're going to build our own tenant, or we have our own tenant going forward. We're in a shared individual tenant right now, so we can fix stuff later when we get there. Okay, so do I save and exit at this point?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. That's interesting. I still can't get in. Okay, so from there, the security policy. So that was kind of the next piece. So, is that where you are?
Wait, did that? Oh, so it looks like you created one.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just kind of a dry run just to get it done.
Gotcha. Okay, so we both have. Well, so the cluster itself, would that be specific to each of our customer edges, or do you do one and it deploys to both? What does that look like?
Steve, thoughts?
I would recommend it being specific to your customer edges, right? Because they are different sites. If you're deploying them in different, if you're in disparate sites, they are different Kubernetes clusters.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What next?
All right. So then the security configuration is enabled with default settings for pod security policies. Okay, so
yeah.
So we need to go back into that.
What is there a reason that you want to change those?
No, if you think the defaults are great, then
yeah,
I'll take it. Okay.
Yeah, I would just move forward with defaults.
So we need a cluster role.
No, you got default cluster roles. You're good.
Default cluster roles, okay. So, and if anyone's following along with the documentation, actually we should paste. Do we paste a link to that yet or not? If not, I'm going to paste it in the chat anyways, or in the comments. So that's the doc that we're looking at. Feel free to follow along. But we're on section 3.2 at this point. So we don't need it, the cluster role. So cluster-wide applications, you already walked us through that. And then completing creation, which it looks like we did. Because save and exit after hitting apply 5 times. I thought I counted 5. I don't know. It could have been less than 5.
Yeah, it gets a little annoying at times.
No, it's honestly, I think it's good. At first, I was sort of, for anyone that hasn't used the distributed cloud yet, you do click apply and then save and exit. And it's sometimes you do find yourself in apply. But it's good. It's rather than asking, are you sure you want to do this, and having some pop-up thing. It's just it's sort of the same concept to just make sure you're ready. Yep. So then we have to, it says create the app stack site.
Yeah, so you'd go to manage K8, or I'm sorry, site management.
Yeah.
And go to app stack site.
App stack sites.
And now here's where you'll add. And here's the reason why. So whatever name you give this now, that's your cluster name. And then you're going to pick your node names as well. They have to match on when you deploy your KVM site. Okay. Or your cloud and edge site.
Well, so we could make a match. I mean, we know where to get the node names specifically, or would it be easier to blow it away? I mean, nuke and pave is something we should all be comfortable with.
I would recommend I would just get rid of them and start scratch, because
Okay.
you don't want to, because there is an order of operations, and it's that, create the manage K8 site, create the cluster, then create the edge site. And when you create that edge site, when it goes to provision, and you do the acceptance, is where it ties that together and makes it a Kubernetes site. Right now,
Okay.
you won't do that.
All right.
Okay.
So then, so do we? So is building the CE part of this process then?
Yeah. So what'll end up happening, it's in the guide when it says perform site registration. It tells you, after creating the AppStack site object in the console, install the nodes and ensure the cluster name and host name for your nodes match with the AppStack site name and nodes. So it's in this guide. I'll paste it in the window. Or I'll just send it to you, Aubrey. I don't have access to paste in that window.
Okay.
So, Steve, are you telling me that we should have read the documentation?
Yes.
And Josh,
Yeah.
actually, that's
Nice softball. Yep. That's what we're doing. We're in the free tier right now.
Yeah. So in the free tier, you can have up to 2 cloud and edge sites, and those sites could be AppStack sites. So you just need to either have the hardware to run it on, or the cloud accounts, and pay for your usage in the cloud accounts.
Yeah.
Azure, AWS, Google.
Okay. So with this, if we just take a quick peek, you mind if I pop over to my
Not at all.
window here just for giggles? So this is the doc that Steve sent to me, which I should go ahead and paste this in the chat as well, or the comments. So if you were looking for how to create an AppStack site, right, which we just created CEs with the AppStack software. So we're gonna go and do this the proper way. Here is the doc for it, creating the AppStack site. And what's the difference, right? So the difference really is we're going to have this managed Kubernetes possibility. And of course, the documentation here does include a good sample reference architecture for what we're looking at, how you link up to multiple regional edges and whatnot. But let's see. Look at that. This kind of gives you an idea of rubber stamping something out and how easy this does become. All right. So let's see here. Prerequisites. That's it. And then so to deploy, start creating an AppStack site object. So cloud and edge sites, manage AppStack sites. We're already there. Add the AppStack site. And so here we're back to the metadata. Okay. So now that I am in the proper place, let's see if we can switch back to Jason. And
So do we want to go ahead and blow away these sites then?
I would, yeah, because you're going to have it all happens during registration in the back end, so you're never going to be able to have these register as AppStack sites. Although you did deploy the stack image, right?
Yeah. So now you just went to those and deleted, yeah?
I thought so. Yeah.
Site list. Nice. I used to have to go into sitemap, look it up, click on it, and then delete.
Well, okay.
Great.
So it says it is decommissioning it.
And that's, I got to say, that's one thing that if you're, again, if this is some of your first exposure to the distributed cloud, one of the nice things about it is when new features come, you don't need to install them. It could just be you log in and it's like, wow, I've wanted it to be this way. And it's suddenly that way, which is great. So
okay, so for this, that means that on our local boxes as well, we need to make a change, right?
Yeah. Yep, we will.
Okay.
I have my virtual machine manager up and functional. So if we want to show that, we can. Let's see.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I see mine actually coming down. So this is kind of neat. was interesting. So for anyone who has not used KVM before, this is Virtual Machine Manager. So if you don't know Virtual Machine Manager, it's pretty easy. One of the reasons why I wanted to kind of work with KVM, and Michael Coleman, if you're out there, I know you're going, you're crazy. Why just work with VMware? But it's not. I mean, one of the nice things about KVM is just the really lightweight aspect of it. It's Linux, et cetera, et cetera. But also in our F5 documentation for installing a Big IP Virtual Edition, if you're looking to do that on KVM, they recommend Virtual Machine Manager. So lucky for me, Homebrew, if you're a Mac user like I am, Homebrew does have a tab for this. So you can go ahead and install Virtual Machine Manager from Homebrew and take care of your Linux KVM machines right out of the gates, which is great. So for this guy, I don't know if this is actually going to keep in StreamYard. It is not. I'm going to have to share another window. But it looks like this guy is actually rebooting my device. Let me go ahead and try and stop and present as well. So if I bring up this is what it looks like when you go ahead and open up one of the virtual machines. We've got and it's not gonna, it is gonna show it. Good. So I've got, this looks like it completely reverted my CE. So let me try to log in. I don't think I did that correct. There it is. Okay, so that was the default password. It looked like just deleting that in the console right there wiped me completely.
What is the default that they have in the documentation?
So the default in the documentation, I'm allowed to say this, right? It's not a super secret password. It's a default password. It's capital V, Volterra, for Volterra, which is what the distributed cloud used to be called, 123. So
super secret.
That's right.
It's not admin password, right? It's so it could be. And I guess we'll my current password, right, is you have to type it again.
Got a question from Josh here. When I was messing with this last year, the support folks recommended destroying the CEVM if I needed to redeploy it.
I bet.
Is that a necessary thing or just a good?
I would bet you Steve's thinking the same thing.
Yeah, nuke and pave, right? So
okay.
It's and the reality is if you're even thinking about upgrades and stuff like that, yeah, I would go the normal upgrade path, but you can also think about doing things with blue-green deployments, and you can even take that approach with CEs as well, right? I'll have a blue CE, I have a green CE, and then I'll just swap my the VIPs between them for whatever workloads running on it or whatever it's discovering, because you can have it discover multiple services. But yeah, the nuke and pave is best.
Okay.
But we shouldn't build it yet, though, right? Because we still have to.
Yeah, you got to follow the order of operations, right? So we got to build we built the managed Kubernetes, right? Now we got to build the cluster, and then you build the actual bolt stack combo nodes, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we have our clusters that we've built.
Here, I'll get back to sharing this guy, and we can move into. So here I am. I have my CE, which is shut off, so I can go ahead and delete it. And there's a pop-up asking me if I'm sure. So I'll just describe that, and now you guys can see it's gone. So this is going to be tricky. I'm going to have to reshare as I just hit the new virtual machine. So I'm going to stop that again and reshare. So this is the new VM process. So this has gotten easier, as we saw last show. So with I'm going to use the local install media. The same ISO is still going to be good, I'm sure. So
you're not sharing if you're.
Oh, hang on. There it is. Thank you. So the ISO is what's there, and we need to put in CentOS 7. So,
All right, but I would hold off on this until you build the constructs within distributed cloud, right?
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's something that Jason's going to have to do
I can do that.
because I can't access at this point.
Okay, so let me share it out. All right. So what's next on the cloud side?
So we've done the clusters, right? So
Right.
go to site management, do app stack sites, and let's go ahead and build that. So now this, you're gonna have to remember, this is where you match up your domain, your node names and your what do we actually call it? Host name for your nodes match with the app stack site name and node names. So
Okay.
and Aubrey, if you go down onto that page where it says perform site registration that I sent you, that's where I'm reading that. So go ahead and create a unique name here.
So this is for okay. And this is an AppStack site, so I can just say AR site KAS site. All right.
Yep. Can give
And
it
then, so I'm going to label my nodes, and I can just say primary node 1. And I'm only going to have a single node cluster on mine.
yeah. Just remember, oh, you want to, where it says generic server certified hardware, you're going to want to change that, right?
Okay.
Sorry,
That should be AppStack, right? KVM AppStack.
Yep.
Multi-NIC, is that one?
No multi-NIC, right? It's only a single NIC option, right?
KVM Volt stack combo.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do I need to put the geographies in here?
Yeah, you should. So wherever your site is, the longitude, latitude. You can hover over the is that a question mark or a little I next to geographical address? I don't remember that being in there, so I don't think you have.
Yeah, what is that next to geographical address? Oh, Latin long. That's it. So you're going to use the arch?
Yep.
Nice.
Where are those values, though? I don't see them.
You have to figure out where your longitude, latitude is, right?
Yeah.
So you can go to.
Usually it shows up in Google Maps, and I'm.
Oh, we don't see that screen. I was wondering if you were asking if they were somewhere in Distributed Cloud.
Yeah. Okay. That's all right. I think I have them somewhere. Let me come back to here. Just give me something, people. Goodness. Yeah, apparently my map stopped working and I can't find that information anywhere. So I have no idea how to find that right now. We can just throw some stuff in.
38.62 and then 90.19. Or is that a -9? Which one's negative? I don't remember.
-38 latitude.
No, I think it's the opposite, right? It'd be 38 latitude, -90 longitude, right? There you
We'll go with it. Okay. All right. So bond configuration.
No, we're not doing any of that. We're not going to do any of the special network configurations.
Okay.
No special storage configurations. Advanced configuration. I don't believe we need anything there.
It's not a bad idea to mention that if you're used to big IP, one of the things I loved as an admin working on it was that most of the defaults were really good. And if I didn't know what it was or didn't know why I needed to change it, don't change it.
Yeah.
So same thing with distributed cloud from my perspective.
Yeah. So here, actually, click on the disable site locates and enable that.
Okay.
Offline survivability mode. That's capability to have the site continually run for up to 7 days if we lose connection to our controller, the SaaS controller. So I don't think you need it for this, but just to mention if someone is going to deploy that, they're going to want to make sure they check that.
Okay. All right. So good on this one.
Yep.
And let me see. I did primary node 1. Is that what I named it? Okay. Okay.
There it is.
So that makes sense, Aubrey. Now that when we built the CEs, it was asking for this information, right? And we were setting it on that end. Here we're defining it, and then we're going to reference it actually in the CE. So that makes a lot of sense. All right. So we also need to do one for yours. And so AKK8S for consistency. What did I call that site?
It's a quiz. Anyone know and can put it in the chat? It's a pop quiz.
And then you're also KVM Volt Stack, right?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can remember this stuff. All right, what's your Latin long?
Oh man, give me a quiz here. All right.
While you're looking that up, I'll come down here and enable your.
And for reference, the reason we ask for lat long is that's how we connect you to the 2 closest regional edges. So we'll connect you to the closest ones via, your latitude, longitude.
Oh, gotcha.
So I'm putting it right in the comments. Here's my Latin long. If anyone wants to look that up on Google Maps, you're more than welcome to. It is a fabulous place called Nick Tahoe's where you can get a garbage plate to punish your arteries. It's funny. The first couple of customer demos that I did when I was working on distributed cloud, I used my house and then went, wait, that's probably not what I should demo.
Yeah. Hey, I did label it the right way. Okay. So Aubrey, you're AK-K8S- site, and I'm JR-K8S- site, and then it's primary -node -1. So
So I can. So I've actually got my node rebuilt and could probably register.
Yeah. Now would be the time.
Okay. And, as a time check, we're coming down to like 10 minutes. So we're looking good.
We can go long too if we need to.
Yeah.
All right. We're 16.384. Memory CPUs was 4, right?
I did 8.
You did 8 CPUs?
I did 8 CPUs and 16 gig.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
If you guys, if someone wants to share how they're provisioning the node, right now we just see the distributed cloud screen.
Oh, I can definitely put that up. I've got my I do it command line usually. So hang on, let me go ahead and share the right screen here. I'll stop my screen. Okay, so my app stack node right here. All right, so I'm going to log in with what we talked about before. Same. Error 123. I have to change my password.
You're a little further along. Mine's building now.
Oh, I wanted to make sure that we had the illusion of continuity. All right. So Here we have, I'm actually all set here. So one of the things that I always do when I'm finished with this is I check health. Actually, I'm going to cue that. Just so if this is your first time looking at the command line also for Volterra, this is it. It's tab complete, and I want to do a health. So H, I'm all set. Tab, enter. Now, why would I do that? The reason is because it has this little piece of information that I need called my IP address. So down near the bottom of the screen, you can see the 192.168.1.172. That is my internal IP address. The reason that I go for that is because I would rather simply SSH to this thing for the setup instead of leaving this window open. So I'm going to, in my other window, let me see if I can, again, get that illusion going. Admin at 192.168.1. What is it? 172? Yes. It is the one. And I'm going to actually stop my screen and present my SSH screen now so we can just sort of keep on. All right. So at the bottom, you can see I'm yesing it. There we go. Now I should have just set this one. So okay, so that was my new password. I did change the password on the console, check my IP address. Now I'm going to be able to access this thing via SSH. So again, if I do health, should be all set. Yep. So what is my next step here? Normally I go right through the registration process. I use my site token.
Should be the same. The only difference is you're going to need to make sure you have the cluster name and the node names match. So,
okay. So notice
now I will say I've not deployed a KVM app stack site yet, so this is first for me.
All right. Awesome. So many firsts for us, bud. All right, configure. My token.
Did you get your token already? All right.
No, and could you Teams that to me, Jason?
Let me add it back here.
Yeah, and show people how to do this.
Site management, that's down at site tokens. And there we go. We got a nice little token there.
Or Teams or chat, whatever, the private chat in here.
All right. Yep, I can Teams that to you maybe. It's
okay.
On a different system. Give me a second.
No problem.
Universal control. Gotta love it. All right.
Apple. All right. So I have got that. And let me share again. I have pasted it in. This is my token. What is my site name? So my site name is, what do we call it? It was AK-8's site.
Yep.
And I'm going to go with AK0.
No, this is that node name was gonna have to be what your site name is.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Interrupt. What is my token? So my site name is this guy again, AK8-site. And my host name needs to be the same.
Yeah, actually, yeah, let's do that. But yeah, I've not done a KVM before, so I've done many clouds in VMware. So,
and my lat long, I just put in there. Uh-oh, I can't.
Does it ask you for a cluster name?
Hang on. Yeah.
Okay, 43.1.5 for this.
The host name is also the site name?
No, so the site name I don't think matters. It's the host name has to be the same.
But that's not our cluster name?
That's why I'm asking: is there going to be a cluster question here, or if not, then the site name is probably the cluster. Like I said, I've not done a KVM one before, so
Gotcha. So site, I mean, the host name question has master 0 on it for me.
negative 77.62.
Oh, I did 77.
Yeah.
Customer experience.
Josh, yes. I mean, if people have access to your, yeah, I guess that would be a security implication. No, it's not a security implication knowing the token.
No.
No.
What'll end up happening is if someone were to get that and then we're able to deploy a regional or a customer edge site, it's going to register to your tenant with your credentials and to your tenant, and they're not going to have access to that tenant.
Yeah,
right?
so they can't complete the registration.
Correct. They can't do what I mean, they would be able to get through these steps here, but then they wouldn't be able to access the CE afterwards.
Right.
Or they won't be able to access your tenant to configure anything on the CE afterwards.
So I would, if someone did that, they could use that, and then, I would see a new site registration of my tenant and go, sweet. I don't know what that is. Goodbye.
Delete them.
It's a great question though. So I'm definitely glad you asked.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is if we need a fleet name for this.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. And this is going to be a KVM.
Never asks for our node name though.
What's that combo?
Well, it's host name, right?
Host name. Yeah.
Right, but you didn't put that in any place because we've got our site name, our cluster name, and then our node name back on.
So what I think site name equals cluster name, and host name equals node name. It's
Site is cluster and host is node.
That's my guess.
Okay.
I like in if you're deploying VMware, they actually asked for the node names as well as the cluster name. I don't see that here.
Okay. Now, if anyone's curious what I did there, this is log VPM. So if you use the tab completion, you can have various log levels, right? So VPM is the one that you want for what we're doing. So log space and then VPM, I just hit tab. So if I hit Shift G, oh, look at that. So I requested a long time ago that this be piped to less instead of more. It's done. Like, remember I said that just a moment ago, that sometimes these features just show up. Like one of my initial requests coming out of the Volterra team was, please use less instead of more, and it's done. So now I can go through these logs and see exactly where I am. A lot of this stuff is very Kubernetes-y, right? I know that's deep and a technical word, but if you look at it, you see quite a bit of this is is Kubernetes related, or you see a lot of IPsec type messages as you're waiting for this to come up. So that for me is the end of the line, right? I've requested a registration to be completed. Now, Jason, if you can go back in and go under the, the site management and pending registrations, do we see that? There it is. So you should be able to hit that check mark.
Yeah. So your cluster name and host name. So your host name is still AK K8S site. That I think it probably should have been primary node 1.
Yeah, here. Can you click that again real quick? I just want to. Okay, cluster size 1. Okay.
Yeah. And then hit save.
Yeah, save and exit.
And then mine too. Yeah, sometimes stuff ends up working a little too quickly or a little too slowly, I find with this.
Well, that could be so in our free tier, we could have an object limit exhaustion.
Yeah.
Boy. What is that? Wait, where's that sound effect, Jason?
Yeah. Oh. Which one? You want the that one? The sad trombone. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay. So, yeah, it looks like maybe we have too many objects already in free tier.
That could be. And that is one of those things about the free tier, right? There are object limits to what you can do.
I'm curious though, if you can have up to 2 customer edges, and we're only building that. We haven't built anything else yet except for. Although I guess that's if we just did the customer edges and we weren't building clusters in them, maybe that's the issue. Well, that said, we're at time, and we didn't. Here's the deal. We'll go ahead and just come back to us real quick. Here's the deal about doing live stuff and doing it in a way where we're trying to do discovery, right? Distributed cloud. For me, I'm still completely green on that technology, and I wanted to be when we film these things, because I want to see the things that customers are going to deal with so that we can take that back into product. But also, that you have an example along the way of roadblocks happen, and learning new things is not always an easy thing. And a lot of this is easy button. But in our case, it's not a technical challenge here. It seems to be for 2 problems we hit today, right? Reading documentation, which we did not do. And so we built our customer edges ahead of time instead of doing it the right way for actually deploying a managed K8s, K8s, or K8s, whichever way you want to say it. So we didn't read documentation, so RTFM, right? And then the other challenge we hit is, we're trying to do more with the free tier than is allowed. The good news on that front is we do have our own tenant that we just got for the DevCentral team, and we're going to be able to do some of these things above and beyond what is available in free, so that as you need to deploy workloads and services on top of those workloads, we'll be able to demo those and walk along that journey with you as you get out of your own data centers, or join your data centers to different workloads around the world, in public cloud, private cloud, other side of Detroit cloud, whatever you want to, wherever you want to deploy a workload, we'll be able to assist with that. And so I'm excited about going on this journey, learning new things. Steve, thank you so much for joining us for this today. You've been tremendous help, just kind of filling in some of the gaps. Actually, for me, all the gaps, because I have no understanding yet. And so working on that. And so this is going to be a fantastic journey for me. And I think for all of you out there in the community who have not yet got your feet wet with distributed cloud, that'll come. Any closing thoughts, Aubrey? Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my only closing thought is really, it's funny you mentioned the other side of Detroit cloud. I think that's the last place I physically saw Steve, was the other side of Detroit cloud. So that's it. That's it. And I'm psyched that we're doing this, man. I like that we're building this up and doing stuff to broaden the community. Also, a special thank you to Tim Wagner. Your dedication to community is immeasurable, sir.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And we'll do a redo on this hour when we get our tenant up, and then we have a little bit more insight on where to go from here. So we'll get that scheduled in. Actually, our next episode is 2 weeks from today, but we'll schedule it in before that so that we get caught up before the next step in the journey, which is actually publishing an application out into the real world. So thank you for joining us on the journey, and we'll see you out there in the community. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.
See y'all.